passengers.
Hi, Iggy!
Big doings this week. Adventure, fun, music, cartoons, news. Everybody ready?
Ready!
Then on with the show.
Hello, Grand Circle Tour passengers, and welcome to a very special episode of the Grand Circle Tour podcast. This is the first episode of many that we will be having. We're kind of going off-site of our normal traveling destination for a detour, if you will, as part of the Grand Circle Tour Detour. And joining me this evening, we have two great guests that I love listening to both of them. I kind of call them the Disney newscasters, if you will. Anytime I need some updates on anything, I just go to their YouTube channels. We have first off, we have Christopher as Orangegrove 55 joining us again. Christopher, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. And joining us for the first time, Ethan, which has his own YouTube channel as Theme Park Wizard. Evan, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Glad to be joining you for the first time.
Awesome. We're glad to have you part of this detour. And also joining us this evening, my lovely wife, Jessica, is here for the ride as well.
Hey, guys.
So, as part of the first episode of the Grand Circle Detour, I just thought we'd just have a roundtable discussion of anything Disney, anything you guys want to talk about. You know, there's no holds bar, the sky's the limit, just like in Imagineering, and just whatever you guys want to talk about. You know, we can stick to a subject and then go into another one, whatever you'd like to do. So, I'll actually start this off of the conversation with a bit of news that I think we all heard of because I've seen it on Twitter that was reposted like how many times with the news. Shanghai Disney getting a Zootopia land. And with all the hype of people saying that it was going to go into Animal Kingdom and Rafiki's Planet Watch closing down, and that's where Zootopia is going. And then, sure enough, like out of nowhere, Shanghai's getting it. So, Evan, I know that you just recently uploaded your take on Zootopia because I know that's one of your favorite movies that you see.
Love Zootopia. Yes.
So, if you can kind of reiterate back to your YouTube video, that what is your overall thoughts on the land?
I personally love it, and I hope it comes somewhere in the U.S. because I don't want to fly to Shanghai to see it. But I also think it'd be like a Star Wars, like you know how Star Wars, like what Christopher said in one of his videos, you can do different planets with Star Wars. Well, Zootopia has so many different climes, like the snow and the jungle. I feel like they can still do it for Animal Kingdom without being the same thing. Like they have the city version in Shanghai, but they can make the jungle scene version of Zootopia in Animal Kingdom type of thing. And I feel like, there can be so many different Zootopia lands that are not the same thing all over the world. Almost like what Christopher said with Star Wars, there will be different planets all over Disney parks with Zootopia. So I hope something like that comes to my home park of Disneyland because I feel like we get kind of left out sometimes. But at least Disney World, so I can only fly 5 hours versus a different country that I may not get let out of.
That's very interesting. I didn't actually think of that, of like breaking the lands up as far as, because the metropolitan side of Zootopia would fit very well in Shanghai, and then as you said, the jungle scene and everything going well in Animal Kingdom. I actually find that very interesting.
Yeah. I also am slightly disappointed, at least from the article. It seems like there's only one ride. I feel like there should be more than just one major ride. Maybe there'll be more, but just to me, it seemed like there's just one. And I feel like for a park with not that many attractions, there should be more than just one major ride,
I've noticed that quite a bit with the new lands. I mean, I know it goes a lot of time with theming as well of the landscape and just the surroundings, which is I love the immersion of walking into a land and, you know, noticing, oh, wow, look at every little detail. But I do miss that traditional way where there's multiple attractions, more than just like 2 or 3, but like where a whole land just has like a lot of stuff to do.
Exactly. Like almost like Tomorrowland has a lot of things, you know, to
Yes.
possibly do. But maybe they'll add some more, you know, maybe Zootopia Phase 2.
Chris, what do you think?
Well, what Ethan brought up was actually a very interesting concept, and it kind of opens up Zootopia to a lot of different things. I mean, you know, you can even tailor a Zootopian, so to speak, version, if you will, of Los Angeles and put it in California Adventure. You know, you can have the Zootopian version of LA. So what Ethan brought up was cool because you could, there's a lot of potential there. I mean, it's a vast, you know, limitless, universe. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I really am. I think that when it comes to theme parks, the environment trumps all. So even if you're not a huge fan of the movie, you know, I think we all can agree that Zootopia is a cool environment, you know, that we'd all would want to visit. It's kind of like Pandora. You know, you might not like Avatar, but the planet is a cool environment. It really translates well into a theme park. I think Zootopia is the same thing. So I'm very excited. And I think that, I think the number one contender, for the park to get it out here in the States will probably be Animal Kingdom. It just seems like a no-brainer, but, you know, Hollywood Studios might get it. You know, they're moving in a different direction now. It's no longer about behind the scenes magic. It's about, you know, going into these worlds that Hollywood has created with, you know, Andy's Backyard and Galaxy's Edge. So a Zootopia would fit just as good there as it would in Animal Kingdom. So Florida has a couple possibilities.
Yeah, and I remember when the rumor first came out that Animal Kingdom was supposed to get the Zootopia land, my first impression was, even before they even announced that Rafiki's Planet Watch was closing, that whole section would become the Zootopia land. And because you have to board the Harambe train, they would transform that into the tram that Judy Hopps took from the countryside into the city. So cool. Like that whole entire start of it, that sort of the storyline starts before you even enter Zootopia. That was my initial thought, that I think that would have been perfect, especially if they were to put it in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I had that same thought as well. I was like, oh, perfect, no-brainer, just transform that area. Plus, they have animals over there anyway. You know, you take the train. That's just perfect.
But it's starting to notice that a lot of like the major lands and attractions start out with the international parks first. So that's why I'm kind of having high hopes, you know, just like how they did with Tron. You know, it was a huge success over at Shanghai, and now they're bringing it over to the Magic Kingdom, and possibly, hopefully for you guys, maybe at some point over on the West Coast. You know?
I'm hoping, like, geez, I get so jealous, you guys. Everywhere around, like, geez. That's why I'm hoping this Marvel Land really just blows the socks out, so we can make you jealous.
Hey, just because you guys are getting a Marvel Land already, I'm jealous, regardless of what it is, because Marvel is probably the one thing that, as of right now, due to the contracts between Disney and Universal, that it may take a while before, you know, we get something on the East Coast.
Now, George, you touched upon an interesting point where you mentioned that the international parks seem to get a lot of this innovative new things. Why do you what do you guys think about that? Like, why do you think Disney is so much more willing to invest and take risks with their parks overseas, and they seem a little more hesitant here? I can't figure it out. I don't know why. There definitely is a disparity, and I just can't figure out why, though. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I feel like they just use their international parks for some reason, like as a test. Like, if people don't like this, then we don't care.
Yeah.
But if you put this in the Magic Kingdom and people hate it, then they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, you ruined the Magic Kingdom with this stupid thing. Oh, I hate this." And I feel like the international people don't care as much, since their parks are newer. There's not much history there, so they can kind of play around with them, and then they either like it or they don't.
That I consider, and I hate using this term, but I always take the international parks as Disney's guinea pig.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's in the sense where they not necessarily test it out there first, but I don't really think Disney ever thought of bringing Tron to the U.S. Because, I mean, Tron, an 1980s film, they did a remake, well, not a remake, but a sequel at some time. But, I mean, and then it just died off right there and then. It didn't really have anywhere else to go. And then I think it was just from the popularity of people knowing of this Tron cycle and the high demand that people wanted to have it, and Disney's like, here's another cash grab, get more people to the parks, let's give them what they want. Because I'm 100%, well, I can't say 100% because I don't work in the company, unfortunately, but I'm like 95% sure that the decision to bring Tron to the US was just from the high demand from the fans.
I think it also has to depend on the kind of technology that Shanghai has compared to the technology that we use in America.
Yeah, I could somewhat agree with that, because not really necessarily with Shanghai, but with Tokyo. I'm for sure you guys seen the video with the Beauty and the Beast attraction.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the animatronics. I mean, those animatronics were, especially the scene with Belle holding the lantern as she's walking, like it just felt like literally a real life animated pixel that just like walked off of the page.
It looked like more like CGI than it did like an animatronic. It was so fluid.
Now, do you guys prefer? Now, Christopher, I know I asked you on a previous episode, do you prefer like the LED screens or the animatronics and everything? I'm going to take this one step further. Do you guys prefer the actual facial of an animatronic or the LED face, like how they do with the Frozen Ever After and the Seven Dwarfs?
For me, I like both styles, and I think it just kind of depends on the character that they're doing. Some characters are just harder to do in a physical form, and you need to do that projection. Some characters you can do a physical face. Now, a few years ago, the physical faces for a human figure like Belle would have been very difficult. It's very hard to recreate human faces and stuff, even in animation, because our brains, we can tell immediately, oh, that's fake. But Tokyo, of course, figured a way to make it look real. But, I think that's what it comes down to for me. It's just, whatever works for the character, whatever's the best for, the attraction. I like both. Both of them to me have their pros and cons. And I just think it's kind of like, just depends on what they're using it for.
Yeah, same here with me, because it depends on what a character. Almost like if you were to look at Radiator Springs Racers, some of their cars, animatronics, the bumpers and everything move, but at the end scene they project Lightning McQueen's face onto the car, and I think it works like just perfectly fine for me. What do you think, Chris? But even on Radiator Springs Racers, right? Obviously.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite rides. I mean,
exactly.
It's great, and yeah, I mean, either way, it works. I mean, I think both look really good. I don't have a problem. Either one they choose is fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Radiator Springs Racers, for me, that was like the pinnacle point when I started noticing Disney upping their game with the animatronics. Like the first time when you enter into the ride and you see Mater as the first, when he just comes around the bend and you just see him and like, wow, that was just perfect. Like the movement, it was just spot on.
It really makes me wonder. And I'm sure I know you guys have seen the report on Galaxy's Edge, Rise of the Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And, in that report, they were talking about an animatronic Kylo Ren. And I bet they're gonna utilize some of the same technology for that animatronic that they used for Tokyo. Because Disney has shown, like, they're gonna spend all they can on Galaxy's Edge. So we're gonna get the best of the best animatronics. That Kylo Ren animatronic is gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think that if with Star Wars, I mean, it's a no-brainer that they're not gonna waste any old-fashioned type of animatronic that's just going to stand there, not move, and a voice just comes out of the mask. So, you know, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of movement and I'm looking very forward to that attraction. And I actually want to move over to that attraction, but before we do, I have a funny little story. When Jess and I were on I think it was it Frozen Ever After in Epcot? I think it was Frozen. I don't know if you noticed the scene where Anna and Kristoff were singing.
Oh, yeah.
That because they have the LED mouths, Kristoff didn't have a mouth. There was nothing there. It was just eyes, nose, and no mouth. But yet he was singing. So.
That's funny. And that's interesting. That actually does bring up a good point that's actually a downfall for the projection, because that kind of stuff can happen where if you had a physical face, maybe the mouth would be broken, but it wouldn't be like completely like, like emotionally scarring as something like that, or the whole thing is gone, So that is a big downside to the projection.
The ones that actually pointed it out to each other.
Yeah, like we like no, I don't know if anyone else in the boat noticed it, but I mean, like it was like right in our faces, and then also going to Mr. Potato Head.
That one was funny.
I what I like to call the Mr. Potato Head with pink eye, because eyes, it's just like you see like these bloodshot like veins type of things in the eyes when the LED isn't working.
It's got to be terrifying for little kids to see that.
Other times when it looks like he's poking himself in the eye, or like his eye is hanging out of the socket.
But yeah. So staying on the subject of Star Wars with the Rise of the Resistance, I think we all can agree that I'm looking forward to both rides. I'm looking forward to the whole entire land, but Rise of the Resistance, I mean, that one is like the creme de la creme, like cherry on top of. I personally think this is Disney's biggest ride that they ever tackled, I think, based on what the description is. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, from the description, and it might be different once we go on it, but from everything we've heard, it definitely sounds like Disney's biggest ride. It sounds like Indiana Jones and part Tower of Terror. And
if they add that, I'm telling you, if they add the tower effect to that at the end, like you're escaping out of a pod, heading off into space, that
game over.
God, I hope not. My heart would plummet to the floor.
You guys have to see her either like on Tower or Guardians of the Galaxy. It is hilarious.
That is funny.
It's his fault.
Oh my goodness. I love taking my friends on that who are terrified. They make the funniest pictures. It's hilarious.
Well, she goes on that ride many times, but it's the same effect that she's literally barricading her face under my arm.
That's my favorite ride, our Guardians of the Galaxy.
The first time we ever rode Tower of Terror, it was my first time ever in Disney World. And I know we're talking about Disneyland, but being that they have the same ride, there was a guy that came up to us randomly and said, well, I have some friend and family passes. I need a couple more people to go. And I was looking at the ride knowing that if they gave me another second to change my mind, I wouldn't have gone on. So I warned the guy, if I grab your thigh and leave an imprint, it is your fault. and I will not feel sorry. So the entire ride, I'm screaming, "You did this to me. I hate you both." And when we got off the ride, the guy, his poor thigh was purple. It had my full hand on his thigh, and he's rubbing his leg as he's getting off.
Oh my gosh! Now, have you guys being East Coasters? Your Florida is more like your home park. Have you been on Mission Breakout yet, though?
I have, yes. I actually came out for the premiere, so to speak, where the line was. I came out for just a fast pass. I think it was like a 2-hour wait. But
I remember those lines.
But that was actually worth it, because when I got to the kiosk, there was an elderly woman standing there with 3 fast passes to Mission Breakout. She said, "We don't need them." First person who comes up, and before she even finished the sentence, they were already out of her poor little wrinkly hand.
Oh man!
So I ended up with 4 fast passes.
Cool.
All within that same hour. So I literally went on 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's
intense. Got different songs each time.
Yeah, I think Mission Breakout was appropriate for California Adventure. Tower of Terror, I feel, is more appropriate for Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, George, I agree with you. And because, our Tower of Terror was always like Tower of Terror light. It always felt like kind of like a watered down version of your tower, right?
Yes.
But at least now with Breakout, it's its own unique thing. It's special to DCA. And I think it was absolutely the right decision. It stands out on its own now, as opposed to living, in the shadow of the Florida Tower. It's kind of its own little thing now.
And now we have random drop sequences, like everyone was complaining about that we didn't have. So
Random is not my thing.
No, it's not.
Random.
I can't prepare myself.
We now have more drops than our other Tower of Terror.
No,
great.
That's horrible.
Well, at least that you would know, because she didn't get a chance to ride on Mission Breakout yet.
Thank God.
But at least you would know that it starts out every time going up. It shoots up after you see the silhouette of Rocket, and he says, "Let's roll."
Well, praise God for that, because the first time we rode Tower of Terror in California, you told me the wrong direction, and I puked. I think he told me something like, "We're going to go up," and it went plummet.
Gotta love the random.
No.
No.
I almost became a heart patient.
Well, I'm surprised that elderly woman that George you were talking about. I'm surprised she braved that attraction. That's I got to give her props for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why she was giving out the fast passes. Like after she found out what the ride really was, and she might have been, "Oh no, that's not going to work well with my pacemaker," or something like that. Anybody want the fast passes? But I mean, she bless her heart. I mean, she was tiny. She was like a 4 foot nothing. Just standing there on the curb. She looked like a little cute scalper.
See, I'm the chicken in the family. Our 8-year-old actually rode Rock and Roller Coaster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to plan on taking him out to Disneyland and experiencing the Incredicoaster first, because I think out of the two, that one, I mean, they both have that intense launch, but I would have rather him experience the Incredicoaster first before Rock and Roller Coaster. No, he was adamant.
Insistent.
He wanted to go on Rock and Roller Coaster.
And he said it was the coolest thing he'd ever written. And
I'm going to have to post that photo up on the Grand Circle Tour Facebook page for you guys to see. He's just sitting there with the launch all calm, and like my face just looks like like ripping the flesh off of my head. Sorry.
That's fine.
Man. But yeah, one good thing about our Mission Breakouts, now that they planned it with the Halloween overlay. So the Monsters After Dark is actually really, really cool and something I like much better than the Tower of Terror.
I'm glad that I'm glad you brought that up. How I didn't experience that version. Like how does it compare to just the regular Mission Breakout?
I actually like it, even though there's no random draw sequence, I like it much, much better because even the show building, they incorporate that. So there's like this lightning strike that goes on over it, and it's really dark and these like deep reds. And when you go inside, the cast members are wearing like these hazmat suits and like these hazard things and acting like all the animals are escaping, and they're running around the queue. And like everything, like when you go inside, the alarms are sounding and it's red, and like it's really talk about immersive. It's super, super immersive in my opinion, and I think it's actually the better version of Tower of Terror and Guardians of the Galaxy because it immerses you right from the show building queue all the way into the ride. Chris, what do you think about that one?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The Halloween version is crazy, and there's even like a fake ending when you get to the top. The announcer is like, "Oh, thank you for joining us. You can exit to your left,"
and then it just drops.
Oh,
I would die.
Cool.
I would just plain out die. That sounds like a haunted house from hell.
It's pretty intense. It's awesome.
I love how Disney like if you're gonna change the theme to a ride, I love how they just go all out and like from beginning to end. If you're gonna do something, do it with flair.
Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely. The Mission Breakout is really an overlay done right.
Yes. And speaking of overlays, you guys don't get Haunted Mansion Holiday, but I personally love Haunted Mansion Holiday.
You just had to rub that one in.
It's the reason why I go and get the Disneyland Holiday. I love the Do you get Small World Holiday? Because that's also the only time we get on It's a Small World is the holiday version because there's 3 different songs, so it doesn't get stuck in my head, and it just looks really cool.
I wonder why. I'm sorry. I wonder why though Disney hasn't jumped on that for you guys and done your mansion dressed up like that. That's weird.
That was going to be my question. It doesn't actually seem just the Haunted Mansion, but it seems like for the whole overall holiday theme, whether it's Halloween or Christmas, it seems like they tend to go all out for the rides at Disneyland, which I'm very happy for you guys. But Disney World, we have like the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party and Very Merry Christmas party, but I mean, like they don't do like a huge overlay, and I wonder because of the amount of people compared to resorts to have something shut down that long.
Yeah, I was gonna say because most of us, or Disneyland's like most of our is pass holders, so we're coming back sometimes every week. So like Hyperspace Mountain, things like that, people are they need something to draw the passwords back over and over again. And I think that's why we get more overlays, particularly than you guys, because you have I'm coming for the holidays and then I'm not going to come back till summer type of crowds, the tourist crowds. So I think because of our like 1 million pass holder population that we get more overlays more frequently than you guys at least.
That's a great point. Yeah, I agree with you, Ethan.
Yeah. So
and also like more events and stuff, or like more like festivals, like California Adventure and stuff, things to keep like people going. Like Lunar New Year starting, I think Friday, California Adventure. Then right after that, a week after is the Food and Wine Festival. So something to keep people coming back for the off season. Yeah.
Now, do you guys usually go for like those type of events? Like
every single one of them.
Well, pin a rose on your nose.
No, I'm usually there like because I have the Signature Plus pass, so I have no block of it. So I'm usually in the free parking, so I'm usually there like every 3 weeks or so with my friends who also have passes. So we're usually there for all the Valentine's just started for like a month, so we'll probably be there again.
Bragging much?
What about you, Christopher?
Yeah, I go to all the events. I mean, I've been to all the holidays for the Disneyland Resort. I'm really glad that they started doing the Lunar New Year every year now for the past few years. My girlfriend actually is Vietnamese, so I celebrate the Lunar New Year with her every year and her family. So it's kind of nice that the Disney parks, recognizes that and they celebrate that as well. And yeah, it's a fun time. It really is, and it gives the parks an opportunity to offer different kinds of food that normally a theme park wouldn't offer, like the bao, those little buns, and more Asian inspired, cuisine, maybe, dumplings, or pho. It's cool. It mixes it up.
It's delicious.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I think it was you that posted. Was it on Twitter? I think it was a picture of a bowl of pho.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just had a comment on it, one of oh, I love it.
It's so good. It's great.
Sushi's where it's at, though.
Yeah, we're big time sushi eaters. Excuse me.
That's like 3/4 of our diet is sushi and sashimi.
So, Christopher, let me ask you, because I think you posted something on Twitter, I believe, about Mike and Sully to the rescue in that back area.
Oh, yes.
That you said that you enjoy the ride, but you don't feel like it's going to be there very long. Yeah. And I actually have to agree with you due to the fact of the Paradise Pier becoming Pixar Pier, to have a Pixar-themed attraction on the complete opposite side of the park, when they're just – and then with Marvel coming in, I mean, that's pretty – is that where you think it's going?
Definitely. I mean, that whole back area with Monsters, Inc. is such a dead zone. I mean, between the theater that they now use just for sneak peeks and the multiple warehouses that are now just sitting there empty that they use just for special executive parties and things like that, that whole back area is going to get probably bulldozed and redone for, as a Marvel area. I can't imagine that Monsters, Inc. ride lasting for another 10 years. I can't. I bet within 4 or 5 years, it's replaced with something else. Yeah. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's on borrowed time.
Yeah, no, Chris, you're actually absolutely right here because of on the Darkby on the WDW Magic forums. Well, the original Marvel Land plan was to put it back there, obviously, until the Eastern Gateway got canceled. But now it looks like the plan is after the Bugs Land, then they go into the parking lot behind Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, now with the Disney favored mayor, he said that sometime in this year, Disney are going to refile plans for to restart the Eastern Gateway project. And once that's restarted, then they'll, continue with the original plan of moving the monorail beam and bulldozing the whole backlot and putting Marvel Phase 3 with the Avengers coaster over there potentially.
Wow, cool.
Wait, so the Avengers coaster is actually, they're saying that's Phase 3 now. It's been kind of pushed around a little bit. I guess they said it didn't fit the capacity standards that they like, so they went back to the drawing board. So it's either going to be it's going to be where Monsters, Inc. is, one of those big buildings, or behind the Guardians of the Galaxy. But anyway, yeah, so that's the current plan for because I heard it was going back and forth between just doing 2 phases or 3 phases. I wasn't sure, if how many phases they were actually doing. I hope they do 3.
Mm-hmm. In all honesty, it'll probably be based on the success of the first couple. If it gets really popular, then I'm sure they'll probably do based on the success. It'll probably be they'll decide how to proceed, I'm guessing.
So do you think the entire Hollywood land is eventually just going to become Marvel?
I would think so. And I think Chris in one of his previous videos, it's very easy to retheme Hollywood to a New York theme, or maybe a California, just generic city, theme, and have how they're testing those stunt animatronics before. They can just imagine Spider-Man swinging through Hollywood land through a show. That'd be so awesome. So I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Because it's super easy to retheme that area, just a generic city. Yeah,
I agree. I think it'll probably eventually be all Marvel. I can't imagine it surviving the way it is right now. I think that it will be Marvel. And, you know, actually, I mean, technically you can still keep the Hollywood theme and have Marvel kind of interweaved in there because, you know, Marvel, the characters exist in our world anyway. So it can still maybe technically be Hollywood, but the rides will be like, you know, superhero. But yeah, I think at least the majority of it will definitely be Marvel.
And the way that they're doing with the whole Marvel themed storyline, where like they're having different campuses connect with this one big storyline, where like all the superheroes come together in parts of the world.
I think that's brilliant, George, what they're doing with that connected theme park universe, because the movies have that same connective tissue. So to have that where each, Marvel land, it's part of one bigger story. I think that's really brilliant how they're handling that.
Yeah. And then another thing I wanted to ask you guys is, because I was talking about Pixar, do you think that they're pushing too much Pixar into the parks? And what I mean by that is, I know you guys are on the West Coast, but like over here at Walt Disney World, they're adding like the Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy and everything, and the Incredibles Block Party Bash thing at Hollywood Studios and everything. Do you feel like they're just trying to fill in like voids, so to speak, of just throwing the Pixar characters anywhere? Sort of like how that initial reaction was with Pixar Pier, because a lot of people thought, okay, this is just a cheap gimmick, just to reskin something. And it always seems like it's with Pixar.
Yeah, and it's really random. You know, it seems like all of a sudden this massive push for Pixar is happening within the last year or so. And like out of nowhere. Yeah, I think it's a little much, you know. I think it's a little much. I don't know really I don't know if maybe there's some sort of internal numbers at Disney that the Pixar brand is kind of getting overshadowed by other properties like Marvel and Star Wars, and they need to kind of push Pixar to the forefront again, or what's going on with that. But I do find that the sudden push for all this Pixar stuff is kind of odd, and it really does come out of left field. So yeah, it's a little much. Hopefully it calms down a little bit, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of Pixar. I don't particularly mind it as long as they do it, you know, correctly, or at least somewhat decently. If you take a look at Pixar Pier, you know, it took how many months to get the Luxo lamp on this thing, and then it broke. It doesn't work anymore. After 3 months, it's frozen. And Bing Bong, it took how many months there? And all he does, he doesn't even like cry real. It's just he just makes noises. So I just feel like, and then the 2 rides aren't even done yet. The carousel, which I could probably re-theme on my own faster than they're doing it, and the Bugs Land thing, I can probably pick that up with my hands and move it over faster than they're doing it. So they're just doing it right. Like Cars Land, Pixar, but Pixar, that's a great Pixar land right there, because you know they're doing it perfectly. But the Pixar Pier is just mismatching the world of colors, or it's not working. So just that whole area just needs to like rework. And then the Jack Jacks on a stick, I think it's funny, but I mean, it just doesn't look good for people who are just, you know, coming there. But, you know,
and then I have to say, that's the message of the day, that I could literally just pick it up and move it myself before they get the chance.
Exactly, you know, like, but yeah, it just seems like getting kind of random, you know, got the Mike and Sully to the Monsters Inc. ride. I like that ride too. It's like a decent, if Pixar Pier was like as decent, least decent as that ride, I'd be, okay, that's cool. But they're just kind of throwing it everywhere. Like you said, Hollywood Studios got that. They just said, I have this little alleyway. Let me do something until Star Wars opens. Oh, let's make it incredible. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of weird. But as long as it draws the people in, I guess. Mm-hmm.
So I assume, because you just mentioned World of Color. I assume World of Color's coming back, right?
It is. There was rumors, and I guess there was even a permit filing a long time ago, or just a few months ago, that was ready for the press event. World of Color Season of Light was coming back before Christmas, and then I guess the something. They didn't really like what they saw or something, because no press event, and I guess won't be here for the Hurry Home segment for the Lunar New Year, because I saw a picture on Twitter that the white, or on my Fresh Baked, the video, the white tent's back up. So that means it's gonna definitely, it's above all the ugly pipes are above the water, and the tent's set on them. So I guess it's gonna be up there for quite a while. I'm guessing hopefully summertime. Maybe we'll have like a Star Wars themed show for Star Wars Land, but hopefully. But I'm not saying at least until June at least.
I think that they're gonna. I don't know exactly when it'll reopen, but Disney, I think, will move heaven and earth to get it open before Star Wars, because they're going to want to divert some of those crowds. They can't afford not to have. They can't afford for DCA not to have a nighttime show with Galaxy's Edge. I mean, Disneyland's already going to be a madhouse, so they're going to do whatever I think they have to do to get it open before Galaxy's Edge. So between now and summer, it'll definitely open. But as of when, it's anybody's guess.
I hope it comes back soon.
Yeah, it's been gone
I hope it comes back before I at least come out, because I don't get to see it as often as you guys do. So it's like
Very true.
to see it.
When do you plan? Are you coming out for? I'm guessing you're coming out for Star Wars, right?
Star Wars, I believe, will already be open. I'll be coming out for the expo.
The D23 Expo.
Oh, excellent. Oh, yeah, it should be open. Hopefully, it should be open by then, because that's August. And like I said, I agree with Chris. They'd want to do anything to divert the crowds over to see something in California Adventure, because the snaking lines of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge over there.
That's what I've been telling people. I've been telling them I'm walking into the danger zone, because I'm coming. The crowds are coming for the expo, the crowds for Galaxy's Edge, the crowds for summertime. It's like I'm walking into the snake pit.
Oh yeah.
While he's suffering from the crowds at the expo, I'll be living La Vida Loca at my parents' place for the next 10 days in August.
Nice.
If I went to the D23 Expo, I'd be killing me some people. I can't handle that many people. I don't have the patience to stand in those lines, and I sure as heck. You could not pay me enough money to camp out all night long to go into a panel that I may or may not get. God forbid if somebody got in line before me.
And just so you know, that's her positive side.
Oh, that's me being very nice.
Well, when you do come out, George, because I remember you mentioned Fast Pass, but when you come out, make sure to definitely use the Max Pass feature. Much easier, or much more convenient than the
that's what
Fast
a lot
Pass
of people
feature.
were saying, and I wasn't. So you recommend the Max Pass?
Definitely.
Especially doing both parks. I mean, you can be standing in line for Splash Mountain and be getting a Fast Pass for Mission Breakout, like while you're standing in line. It's just beautiful. And then the mobile order as well. But I love Max Pass.
Nice. So before we go, I have one last question for all of you, and it's more of a hypothetical type of thing of, if you were an Imagineer, no matter what the department is, what kind of project would you want to be part of? Something that's not even being creative, like what would you create? Something in your own head.
Oh God, I already know mine.
I would probably, and this is like, I have all the space. I have no city issues. I would take up that Angel Stadium lot. I demolish it. And I dream up a whole third theme park for the Disneyland Resort. That would be my project.
Nice.
Yeah, there's two things I would have in mind. One of them would be that I would love to do a third park for Disneyland. I think that would be a lot of fun. But another one I would love to do is, if they gave me like a really good sized budget, I would love to go into DCA and do like a DCA 3.0. And just really give that park, because I think that they made a lot of progress with 2.0. And I think with one more push like they had for 2.0, I think it would really bring DCA up to par. So I would like to be involved with that, because I love DCA. I really do. And I would love to see that park just continue to plus itself and get better and better and better. Because I think it's a great little park. It has a really good foundation to it. It just needs a little bit of love.
Nice, definitely. And go ahead and say yours. I already know yours, so say it loud and say it proud.
They definitely need to put a full Moana land in the parks. It is my all-time favorite Disney movie. I have thoroughly thought this through. It needs to be almost like a simulation ride through where you're kind of like, well, I can't say kind of like, but you would ride through like on their wayfinding boat sail thingies, and then go around, bite Dakar, grab the hook, put the heart of Te Fiti back in, and then that'd be the end of the. Oh yes.
As you can see, she had a lot of time to think about this.
I personally think Moana would be perfect for Tokyo Disney Sea. In my opinion.
Oh, they need it in U.S.
But only because of the Disney Sea thing, I can totally see a Moana port over there.
I was so angry when they didn't win any awards at the Oscars. I actually threw a sock at the TV and almost broke our TV.
And that's why. What?
Oh, so Moana didn't win Best Animated Picture that year?
They didn't win anything.
No, they lost.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
They won nothing.
Wait. Who beat Moana?
I don't know, but it was crap.
I can't remember. She did. I encouraged her to throw the sock. Otherwise, she probably would have threw a boot. TV.
I was legitimately very angry. I really feel like they should have swept the board that year.
I forget.
Wow.
In 2 days, it took me 2 days to learn every single song of Moana.
Yeah, 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And she can
That's
recite the whole contract. Yes.
Yeah, yes, I can. And I have it on vinyl record and a CD soundtrack of it, yes.
Oh, wow.
I have 2 Moana blankets, a Moana plush,
Your music box.
my music box, and 2 little itty-bitties, one of Moana and the other of Maui.
Well, if you type up that pitch and send it to one of us, we'll drive it down to Burbank ourselves and present it to the exec.
I can do that. I was legitimately very angry.
I'm still upset that Beauty and the Beast lost Best Picture to Silence of the Lambs in '91.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it was the Renaissance time of like the animation, and the only animated movie that was nominated for Best Picture, and it lost to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
It's very funny. I can watch Red Dragon. I can watch Hannibal. I cannot bring myself to watch Silence of the Lambs. It is far too creepy.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
For which this isn't Disney themed, but did you know that the house that they actually filmed in is not actually too far from where we live? They actually
Really?
Oh, wow.
They sold the house.
Yes.
Wow.
You could not pay me enough to even walk on its property without some sort of holy water. I would rather spend the night in a cemetery.
She would.
Oh, boy.
Well, I guess on that note, passengers, we're pulling into the station, and we're glad that you got to join us for the very first Grand Circle Detour. I want to thank our guests, Christopher. It's always a pleasure, definitely, as always. Ethan, it was so glad to have you on for the first time. Definitely come back.
Yes, anytime you want me.
Awesome. And Babe, it's always a pleasure having you on board. I don't know how we segued from Disney into Silence of the Lambs, but okay. Oh, that's right. Christopher mentioned. See, you did it, Christopher. So, passengers, we thank you. And do you guys want to give any information to our passengers or where they can find you?
Oh, yes, you can find me on YouTube at Theme Park Wizard, Instagram Theme Park Wizard. Twitter, they shortened to @theme_wizard, and Facebook page Theme Park Wizard.
And you can find me on YouTube, Orangegrove 55, and you can find me on Twitter, which is @Orangegrove 55.
And there you go, passengers. And remember, it's never a good day unless it's a Disney day. Have a good night.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.